Which are better, flat pedals or clipless pedals? It's an argument, a debate that has raged in mountain biking for many, many years, longer even than the wheel size debate. If you're watching this, you probably have a personal favourite, flats or clipless, so let me know down in the comment section below. But in this video, I'm going to explore the differences between the two, the pros and cons, and find out which is better, which is faster, and which is right for you. The main reason for doing this comparison is a personal one. Now, largely I use Shimano SPD pedals all the time. I've used them for the last 15 years or so, my favourite system, not sponsored. But in the winter, approaching winter now here in the UK, and it gets pretty muddy, and the routes particularly get very, very slippery. And for that reason, I often switch to flat pedals because of the main benefit they offer over being clipped in. And that benefit, that advantage, is the freedom to move your foot around on the pedal or to move your foot entirely off the pedal to dab in the corner when you need, when the back tyre is sliding around trying to overtake you. Being able to get your foot off the pedal much more easily is a key benefit of a flat pedal. So for me, the freedom a flat pedal offers is the main attraction during the winter. But I never feel quite as efficient on a flat pedal as I do when I'm clipped in. So when I'm climbing or doing a longer ride, a clipped in pedal feels much better, much more efficient. It keeps your foot in the right position at all times, and when you're riding over rough ground, your foot won't be bounced off the pedal. So that's the main benefit of a clipless pedal for me. But which is actually better and which is faster? So my plan is very simple. I devised a route with two time sections, a downhill and a climb, to see whether a stopwatch gives me any difference between a flat pedal and a clipless pedal. So I'm going to set the pedals and see how we get on. We'll start with the downhill, the fun bit. As you can see from this example here, it's quite muddy. There's a lot of leaves and quite a few slippery routes as well. So I think flat pedals might have the advantage here, but let's keep going to see how we get on. Quite a few hairpins or switchbacks on this trail, and a good place to really examine which system, flats versus clipless, give an advantage if one does at all. But riding flats can be more fun. You can get your foot out, flat out, and it just feels easier to dab sometimes in quite tricky corners, whereas clipless, you have to be quite precise when you get through corners. So I think flat pedals have the advantage here. Certainly more fun when you get your foot out as well and get the back end out, especially on these leaves, making it quite slippery under tyre as well. Now this climb isn't the biggest, the longest or steepest, but long and steep enough to get out of breath, and a good place to test flat pedals versus clipless pedals, and also quite a few tricky hairpins as well. I mean, really tight hairpins on a 29er. And this is where I think a clipless pedal system should be an advantage, much more efficient pedaling, able to get the power out, smoother rotation as well, better able to get the power out of your legs into the transmission and propel you upwards. But we will see, the stopwatch does not lie. Well, that was a good fun ride. I found lots of mud, as you can tell. This bike didn't do too well in mud though. The rear wheel got really clogged up with the leaves and the mud, so not so good. And talking of mud leads me on to my first observation from this little comparison test, is look how clogged up that SPD pedal is. Totally clogged with mud and leaves, compared to a flat pedal, which is clear as anything. So that is a real disadvantage to riding clipped pedals in the mud. If you have to get off and walk or clear the bike of mud, then that is a result, and clipping in afterwards can be tricky. And not just the pedal, there's also the cleat in the shoes as well. So that's a win to flats. But let's have a look at the times, because the times are interesting. I've had a quick look. Now I should add, it's not the most scientific test. I wasn't using a power meter or heart rate, but riding at the same pace I normally do on my trail rides, so fairly steady away pace. So don't criticise me too much in the comments. And I'm doing this for personal reasons. I just want to see if there is any difference when it comes to climbing or descending, and whether I should make a switch to one on a more permanent basis. So let's have a look at the times then, and we'll start with the descent. And the flat pedals did it in a time of 3 minutes and 5 seconds. The clip pedals did it in a time of 3 minutes and 57 seconds. A massive margin. I can't believe it's such a big margin actually, that's quite staggering. Going back up, the flat pedals, a time of 2 minutes and 56 seconds. The clipped in pedals, 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So flipped there, faster going up on the clipped in pedals and faster going down on the flat pedals. They're really fascinating times. So it begs the question, why are flat pedals faster going downhill and the clipped in pedals faster going uphill? Now for me, based on this little comparison, going downhill on the flat pedals gave me more confidence. I felt easier to carry more speed into the corners and through the muddy bits, because I had that freedom to be able to take my feet off the pedal, whether to totally bail the bike if it's all going peak tong, or dab through a corner and get my foot down. And even when I wasn't taking my foot off the pedal completely, I found I was angling my foot off the pedal in a way you can't do when you're clipped in. So I think that greater range of freedom that allowed me to have more confidence and therefore carry more speed on the descents and through the corners in particular. When I was clipped in on the descent, I found I had to be more precise through the corners particularly, and I didn't have that greater freedom when it's really rooty and rocky. And when you take your foot out, it can be a bit tricky to get back in, especially when it's all muddy and clogged up, as I showed you just now. When it came to climbing, I'm not surprised the clipped in pedals were faster, but that the margin was much smaller than a descent. It was quite interesting actually. Now I think I was faster going uphill because my feet were locked to the pedals and I can concentrate on pedaling, get my power out and let the cleat system do the job of keeping my foot in the perfect place, the optimum place for pedaling nice circles. And on the flat pedals, I felt I was stamping the pedals more. I felt my glutes hurting quite a bit as well. And it didn't feel as smooth a rotation of the cranks as the clipped in pedals. So the clipped in pedals, I thought it'd be faster, and it actually were faster, but the margin wasn't as big as the flat pedals had going down. So that's quite interesting. As to which system is best, well, clearly if you're doing a performance focused ride where you want climbing efficiency and you're riding up hills and that's a big focus for you, clipless pedals are faster in my testing. But if you're doing a lot of descending, especially with tricky conditions to deal with, then the flat pedals are going to give you extra confidence and therefore more speed. And it does depend on where you live. If you live in the mountains, getting a chairlift to the top, flat pedals are going to be a better pick. You're not climbing, you're not worried about pedaling efficiency. But if you do a lot of climbing to get to the descent, then pedaling efficiency will be a factor and clipless pedals therefore are better. So an interesting comparison. Hopefully you've learned something along the way. I've definitely learned something. Now I've dabbled with flats alongside clipless pedals for many years, but I've never actually done a comparison test. So for me, this has been fascinating to see the difference between flat and clipless. I know it's not the most scientific test, a bit of fun just to see it. You can do your own test at home as well and see what results you get. But there we go. I'd love to hear what pedals you use at home. Are you a flat pedal person or a clipless pedal person? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you have any questions, do type away in the comment section below. But that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, click that box up there for more bike reviews, and I'll see you all again in the next video. Thank you for watching.